The Weekly Podioplex will begin after this short podcasting promotional.
My name is Karen Lindsay.
I got sucked into Farscape.
Lou bugged me till I watched.
Now I'm obsessed.
We podcast together
To guide new viewers.
so they also get hooked.
Maybe as much as me.
One episode per podcast.
I would love the company.
Both good and bad.
Jeremiah Creighton.
Lou thinks this will stop me,
I can't stop rewatching them.
but he's mistaken.
He should know me by now.
This will be awesome.
Talking about characters and stories.
These recordings are made for you.
To enjoy the wondrous things we've heard.
Cross my heart, smack me dead, stick a lobster on my head.
On the ground now!
Farewell, my friends, and thank you for teaching me to kill again.
Slicker and snot.
My microbes had to have translated that one wrongly.
This is insane, Craig. 4 years on and you're finally getting it.
Escapecast, your guide to the wonders of Farscape.
Listen to the Scaper Chronicles at scapecast.org.
This is Michael Faulkner, and it's showtime at the April 24th, 2012 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you by the Chronic Rift. Starting with the box office report, this weekend's rundown kicks off with number 10 and Mirror Mirror, down 3 spots from 7th. In 9th is 21 Jump Street, down 1 from 8th. At number 8 is Titanic in 3D, down 4 from 4th. In 7th place is American Reunion, down 2 from 5th. And in 6th place is Cabin in the Woods, slipping 3 from 3rd. At 5th, we have The Three Stooges, falling 3 from 2nd with additional $9.8 million for a new total of $30 million. In 4th place is new release Chimpanzee, swinging into theaters with $10.7 million. That's the best 3-day start for a Disney nature film, and also the best debut for a nature documentary ever. Among all documentaries, it debuted 3rd, behind Justin Bieber's Never Say Never, with $29.5 million, and Fahrenheit 9/11's $23.9 million. In 3rd place is dethroned winner The Hunger Games, surrendering the number 1 spot after 4 weeks, with an additional $14.7 million and a new total of $357.1 million. In 2nd is new release The Lucky One, debuting with $22.5 million. That's the second best start for a Nicholas Sparks movie behind Dear John's $30.5 million in 2010. For Zac Efron flicks, The Lucky One came in under 17 Again's $23.7 million, but was a major jump above Charlie St. Cloud's $12.4 million. Not bad for the young version of Simon Tam and Firefly. Coming in at number 1 this week is new release Think Like a Man, cashing in $33.6 million. The per-theater average of about $16,400 is the 3rd highest this year behind The Lorax and The Hunger Games, and the opening was also better than all nearly comparable titles. It also beat the 2009 record set by Obsessed to become Screen Gem's highest opener targeting African-American audiences, and the 2nd best opening for the distributor behind The Vow. Closing out the box office report, let's take a look at what was winning in the box office in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2007, Disturbia held the number 1 spot for a 3rd week with $9 million. 10 years ago in 2002, The Scorpion King stayed on the box office throne for a 2nd week with $18 million. 20 years ago in 1992, Basic Instinct had its 2nd consecutive week at number 1 after 6 weeks in release with $5.4 million. 30 years ago in 1982, Porky's hit its 7th week at number 1 with $4.3 million. And 40 years ago in 1972, The Godfather was at its 6th week at number 1 with $4.9 million. The releases for the week of April 27th hope to make Think Like a Man's victory a short-lived one, and they start off with The 5-Year Engagement, a comedic romance movie starring Jason Segel, Emily Blunt, and Chris Pratt.
Violet, I love you. Will you marry me?
She said I loved you, boy, I loved you so.
This engagement party is a moment to celebrate a new future, but not without first exploring a past.
Jenny Newman, Greta K, Anna Pena, Lizzie Gray, this Korean, that Korean, and Lizzie Gray again.
Okay, that's enough.
Friend.
I think that's enough, right?
I got a letter from the University of Michigan. I got a job for 2 years.
2 years is nothing.
Really?
We'll start planning the wedding again from there.
Babe.
We both know I deserve to get super laid for this.
Do you want me to wear a cape or something?
I want the show.
You get the Cirque du Soleil of shows.
Ooh.
What's this? And this stuff. It's gonna be fun.
How's Michigan?
Oh, it's a fire hydrant!
All in all, it's an adjustment.
Here's our guest list. Like 600 people.
No.
Maybe just
You don't want to get in front of this train, but
Have you two picked a date yet?
Not yet, but within the year.
Congratulations, you've been promoted. You're going to be with us for a few more years.
Can't wait to tell Tom.
You told me that it was going to be 2 years. It's sort of like when you're on a treadmill and you tell yourself, I'm going to run 5 miles today, and now it's forever miles.
When was the last time you were on a treadmill? Sorry.
This is supposed to be exciting. This is your wedding. You only get a few of these.
Well, I wonder. Of course, the men will wear yarmulkes.
Babe, you don't have a yarmulke.
I have a hold. It's in my Jewish drawer.
I don't think we can figure out all of our problems before we get married, but I promise you that I will just love you every step of the way.
Any ideas when this wedding might happen? Grandparents do have a tendency to die.
Mom, they're all right there.
Well, for now.
This is why we do not delay weddings.
The 5-year engagement.
What a cute little flower girl you'll be.
I'm Pocahontas.
The 5-year engagement is a comedy that charts the ups and downs of an engaged couple's relationship and their oft-delayed nuptials. The 5-year engagement is rated R. The next title on our list is The Raven, a mystery thriller starring John Cusack, Alice Eve, and Luke Evans.
Dear God. Get the inspector.
This crime is familiar to me. Edgar Allan Poe.
To what may I attribute the honor of your call?
The night before last, a young girl and her mother were found murdered. The daughter's body was lodged in a chimney. The mother's head severed with a straight razor.
You're referring to one of my stories, a work of fiction.
I'm afraid I am not.
Do you actually think that I murdered these people?
What cannot be disputed is that your imagination is the inspiration of a horrendous crime.
I love you, Edgar. Be careful.
I believe the killer is taunting us. I challenge the brilliant detective mind of Edgar Allan Poe, a game of wits. I will kill again, and on that new corpse, I will leave clues. As unfortunate as this is, you may be uniquely qualified to cast light on our killer. The Pit and the Pendulum. Are there other stories in the collection? Specifically about murder?
I'm afraid so.
This killer is methodical. He wants us to know he's gonna strike again. I dare you to try to save your beloved's life.
Where is she?
He will keep her alive to keep you involved. It's part of his game. And only.
I would gladly give my life for hers.
I know you would.
I'll send you to hell!
No matter how this ends, I will kill him.
When a madman begins committing horrific murders inspired by Edgar Allan Poe's works, a young Baltimore detective joins forces with Poe to stop him from making his stories a reality. The Raven is rated R. Next, we have The Pirates, Band of Misfits, an animated family film starring Hugh Grant, Salma Hayek, and Jeremy Piven.
Hoist the flag! Let's fill his chest with sparkling booty. Yeah!
He's not the greatest pirate captain.
I'm here for your gold. Afraid we don't have any gold, old man. This is a leper boat. See?
And they're not the finest crew. But this is their big chance.
The Pirate of the Year award.
Every time I've entered, I've failed to win, so I must have a really good chance this time.
To turn it all around.
Sorry. You're a shoe-in, sir. There's not a pirate on the 7 seas can match you.
That trophy's got my name on it.
She doesn't even have a beard.
You want to be Pirate of the Year? Do they just give it to the guy with the fattest parrot?
She is not fat. She's just big boned.
She's fat, dude. Oh, God, come on.
This spring.
I hate pirates!
What pirates? Nobody here but us Girl Scouts.
I want them sunk!
We laugh in the face of danger.
I don't really like danger at all.
Join the crew. Fire those things that go bang! Abandon ship! And kick some booty.
I can practically taste that trophy.
You can't lose, Captain.
The Pirates, Band of Misfits.
You are the best crew a captain could wish for. I'm using crew in the street sense. You.
Pirate Captain sets out on a mission to defeat his rivals Black Bellamy and Cutlass Liz for the Pirate of the Year award. The quest takes the captain and his crew from the shores of Blood Island to the foggy streets of Victorian London. The Pirates, Band of Misfits is rated PG. And the last title on this week's wide release slate is Safe, an action crime thriller starring Jason Statham, Catherine Chan, and Chris Sarandon.
In the New York City underworld, there are gangsters, killers, and corrupt cops. But today, the most wanted person in the city is a 12-year-old girl.
You want to tell me why those men are after you?
I can memorize anything. They showed me a very long number.
Is there anything interesting to you about these numbers?
It's not just random. There's a sequence.
It's a code.
Help me if you can.
Who took the girl?
It was Luke Wright. What?
Luke Wright, the Big Apple's hardest cop, once upon a time.
Get everybody on this. The Chinese and the Russians. Close every exit out of Manhattan. That girl does not leave this city.
Let's go to war.
Are we safe?
Till my dying day. I got the numbers. Now you're dealing with me. Hold on.
Are you crazy?
Go, take him out!
You got some balls, Luke.
Yeah, amazing I can even walk.
Safe.
Я никогда не знаю, что говорит в такие моменты.
Какие моменты?
Перед тем, как я кого-то.
May, a young girl whose memory holds a priceless numerical code, finds herself pursued by the Triads, the Russian mob, and corrupt New York City cops. Coming to her aid is an ex-cage fighter whose life was destroyed by the gangsters on May's trail. Safe is rated R. This week's limited release list kicks off with Sound of My Voice, a drama starring Christopher Denham, Nicole Vicious, and Britt Marling. A journalist and his girlfriend get pulled in while they investigate a cult whose leader claims to be from the future. Sound of My Voice is rated R. Next we have Headhunters, an action crime thriller starring Axel Henny, Sinobe Makoti Lund, and Nikoj Coster-Waldau. An accomplished headhunter risks everything to obtain a valuable painting owned by a former mercenary. Headhunters is rated R. Next up is Bernie, a comedy crime drama starring Jack Black, Shirley MacLaine, and Matthew McConaughey. In small-town Texas, the local mortician strikes up a friendship with a wealthy widow, though when he kills her, he goes to great lengths to create the illusion that she's alive. Burning is rated PG-13. And last on the limited slate this week is Girl in Progress, a comedic drama starring Eva Mendes, Sierra Ramirez, and Patricia Arquette. As single mom Grace juggles work, bills, and her affair with her married doctor, her daughter Ansadad plots a shortcut to adulthood after finding inspiration in the coming-of-age stories she's reading for school. Girl in Progress is rated PG-13. Moving right along to the home entertainment slate for April 24th, the new releases on DVD and Blu-ray kick off with Contraband, an action crime drama starring Mark Wahlberg, Giovanni Ribisi, and Kate Beckinsale. To protect his brother-in-law from a drug lord, a former smuggler heads to Panama to score millions of dollars in counterfeit bills. Contraband is rated R. The other new DVD release this week is Pariah, a drama starring Adepero Oduye, Kim Wayans, and Asha Davis. A Brooklyn teenager juggles conflicting identities and risks friendship, heartbreak, and family in desperate search for sexual expression. Pariah is rated R.
There's a holdup in the Bronx, Brooklyn's broken out in fights. There's a traffic jam in Harlem that's backed up to Jackson Heights. There's a scout troop short a child, cruise ships do and I know wild. Car 54, where are you?
Next we move along to TV on DVD, and this week's list kicks off with Car 54, Where Are You? The complete second season, starring Fred Gwynne and Joe E. Ross. The complete second season of the comedy series Leonard Maltin calls one of the funniest TV shows of all time is now on DVD for the first time. Car 54 chronicles the misadventures of two of New York's finest in the mythical 53rd Precinct in the Bronx. Tootie, the short, stocky, and dim-witted one, either saves the day or muffs things up much to the chagrin of Muldoon, the tall, lanky, and smart one. Long out of circulation, this brilliant show can now be discovered by new generations who will have a chance to view it for the first time.
Car 54, where are you?
Our next TV title this week is Marvel Anime X-Men, the complete series, starring Steve Blum, Cam Clark, and Aba Hishikawa. The X-Men reunite after the death of a teammate in order to track down Hisako Ichiki, also known as Armor, a missing teenage girl in northern Japan. There, the X-Men encounter the fanatical anti-mutant group the U-Men and discover what was important enough for Xavier to bring them back together. The answer is something that could potentially bridge the gap between mutants and humans, or tear the two species apart forever. The second title this week from the Marvel Anime Files is Iron Man, the complete series, starring Neil Kaplan, Adrian Pasdar, and Eden Regal. In an effort to make amends for his past in weapons manufacturing, Tony Stark has dedicated himself to building the world up rather than tearing it down. Traveling to Japan to build a new arc reactor that will deliver unlimited free energy to the Japanese people, Stark is challenged by the Japanese government and the media when he attempts to import the necessary nuclear priming device. When the nuclear reactor is repeatedly attacked by the mysterious Zodiac Consortium, Stark must gather his allies to take on Zodiac and its mastermind. This week is also a big one for The Amazing Race. We have two titles. The first is Season 5. A new season, a new adventure, and a new globe-spanning race. The fifth season of Emmy Award-winning The Amazing Race follows the longest race yet, traveling over 72,000 miles, 6 continents, and 12 countries, including Uruguay, Kenya, and Tanzania. This time the race has not just one beauty queen, but two, with both a former Miss Teen USA and a former Miss Texas USA competing alongside past Big Brother contestant Allison Irwin and the fan-favorite team Myrna and Charla. Descending into the depths of Osiris Shaft, 140 feet below sea level, contestants travel where no Amazing Race contestant has gone before, and a chocolate factory in San Carlos makes it the most delicious roadblock yet. The fun and excitement come to a dramatic stop for one team as an injury puts them out of the race permanently. It will take more than a passport to win this race around the world. Find out who will cross the finish line first in this 3-disc DVD set. This product is manufactured on demand using DVD-R recordable media through Amazon.com. The other title this week from The Amazing Race is Season 6. On your mark, get set, and go for the Emmy Award-winning Amazing Race's 6th season on DVD. Passports in hand, 11 teams race across the globe from Senegal to Sri Lanka. The colorful cast includes a pair of grandparents, married professional wrestlers, and engaged models. The teams adventure through everything from Viking villages to glacial lagoons, persevering through the elements and cultural shock towards the ultimate cash prize. Only in a show as unpredictable as The Amazing Race could a Chicago deep dish pizza be the difference between the first and last. And when it comes down to the finish line, it is one of the closest races in the history of the game. Find out who crosses first in the special edition DVD set. This product is also manufactured on demand using DVD-R recordable media through Amazon.com. And the last TV title this week is Titanic, a TV miniseries starring Peter MacDonald, Stephen Waddingworth, and Glenn Blackhall. The world's largest ship, the Titanic, meets with a disaster when it strikes an iceberg on its maiden voyage. Titanic is not rated. Next up, we'll take a look at the titles coming to Netflix streaming for the week of April 22nd to April 28th. April 22nd is a quiet day, but April 23rd has one title, that's The Whitest Kids You Know, Season 5, starring Zach Kreger, Darren Trumeter, and Trevor Moore. This is the 5th season of the adult sketch comedy series by the troupe of the same name. April 24th is another quiet day, but April 25th has one title, that's The First Grader, a biographical drama from 2010 starring Oliver Latondo, Emily Naoki, and Hannah Wasera. The First Grader is the true story of an 84-year-old Kenyan villager and ex-Mau Mau freedom fighter who fights for his right to go to school for the first time to get the education he could never afford. The First Grader is rated PG-13. There are no new titles for April 26th through April 28th. Last but not least, we wrap up the home entertainment section with Blu-rays from the past. This time we have two titles. The first is Camelot, an adventure film from 1967 starring Richard Harris, Vanessa Redgrave, and Franco Nero. The story of the marriage of England's King Arthur to Guinevere is played out amid the pageantry of Camelot. The plot of illegitimate Mordred to gain the throne and Guinevere's growing attachment to Sir Lancelot, whom she first abhors, threaten to topple Arthur and destroy his round table of knights, who would use their might for right. Camelot is rated G. The other Blu-ray title this week is The Red House, a mystery thriller from 1947 starring Edward G. Robinson, Lon McAllister, and Judith Anderson. Pete and Ellen have reared Meg as their own ever since she was a baby and her parents took off. Now as a teen, Meg convinces her friend Nath to come help with chores on the farm. And when Nath insists on using a shortcut home through the woods, Pete gets quite agitated and warns him of screams in the night, of terrors associated with the Red House. Curious, Meg and Nath ignore his warnings and begin exploring. The Red House is unrated. Let's wrap up this lightning quick edition of the Weekly Podioplex with 5 items in the Quick Flicks. First things first, I want to remind you about our poll on the Facebook page. Last week I asked your opinion on 3D re-releases. I'll post a link to the poll on the Facebook timeline just to refresh your memory, and you can always send us your opinion through the usual feedback methods. I'll be covering the results of that poll and any comments you leave on the May 1st edition of the show. Just in case you want to see the new trailer for The Dark Knight Rises, it will be attached to some copies of a little film called The Avengers, premiering May 4th. It will also likely hit the internet within hours of that premiere. The Dark Knight Rises comes to theaters on July 20th. Filming begins next month for Iron Man 3, and it's been known for some time that Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Don Cheadle will be reprising their Iron Man 2 roles. It was announced a couple weeks ago that Ben Kingsley was in talks to play a villain role, and now there's news that Guy Pearce is in final talks to play geneticist Aldrich Killian. The third film is reportedly based on Warren Ellis' 6-issue Extremis arc that introduced nanotechnology and a threat based within a nanotech virus to Stark Industries. In the comic book miniseries, Killian co-created the Extremis nanotechnology that Iron Man employs, a technology which has also landed in the hands of terrorists. Iron Man 3 premieres on May 3rd, 2013. In short news about the Hunger Games, Lionsgate has settled on director Francis Lawrence to helm Catching Fire, the sequel to the hit movie. If you don't recognize his name, he also directed Constantine and I Am Legend. Catching Fire starts production in August and hits theaters on November 22nd, 2013. After a troubled start, Men in Black 3 is finally getting some buzz. Director Barry Sonnenfeld has started to promote the sequel, and in a new interview he discusses his vision. Quote, "The fantastic thing about Men in Black 3 is that it totally closes out the trilogy. It answers questions you didn't even know you should be asking. It leaves you emotionally warm and sad and happy, and it could also reboot the franchise. But I can't even begin to tell you how to interpret all of that. But I would say this. If your interpretation is that Men in Black 4 will only star the Worm Guys and Frank the Pug, you're wrong. When asked about the villain, played by Jermaine Clement, he said, quote, Jermaine delivers a totally villainous performance. If there's any comedy at all, it's just through the frustration. The great thing about Earth is it can be a frustrating place for aliens. We don't think clearly, we're not logical all the time, but Jermaine is not on board this movie for comic relief. His performance is really strong and really villainous. Think about it. If you had not seen the first Men in Black, and people told you that Tommy Lee Jones was funny, you wouldn't have believed it. This is the same thing. No one is trying to be funny. I want my actors to be real. If it's a funny situation, I want it to be funny, but I don't want anyone to play the comedy. Let the audience find the comedy. I don't want to tell any of the cast or crew where it is. So Jermaine does not deliver a comedic performance. While there are moments of humor the audience will find funny, Jermaine himself is not being funny, if you get that. End quote. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's rather short edition, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to chronicgriff.com and leave a note in the forums. Leave a voicemail at 888-866-9010 or write to John at chronicgriff.com. You can follow us on Tumblr, tweet us on Twitter, check it in the network on GetGlue, watch the classics on Funny or Die, give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, and leave us a review on iTunes. You can also find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook and Google+. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make through the store supports the Chronic Rift. Look for the link in our show notes. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. This is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. I'll see you at the theater.
That's a wrap.